Good morning, America. Welcome to the Honor and Knowledge channel and the update for the 2026 elections and the Hungry Strike for America. Today is Thursday, December 18th. Yesterday, I weighed myself in for the official weigh-in, and as I expected, I had not lost a pound.
It's a trap.
Yep. It's a trap for those 4 House members of the Republican Party that went along with the Democrats. They worked around Speaker Johnson to get the bill up in January, probably, for the House to agree with an extension of the COVID-19 subsidies for Obamacare. Now, the Republicans have been working hard to get a better healthcare system going for the United States. They want to improve the healthcare system both financially and from a health perspective, and they're doing that. The House just passed a bill. The Senate will be picking it up in January. If the Republicans don't stick together, it'll be the exact same effect as if the Republicans didn't stick together during the shutdown problem. Those 4 Republican House members should have not done what they did. Now, 3 of them are in districts that are almost neutral, 1 point to the Democrats or 1 point to the Republicans.
Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Ryan McKenzie of Pennsylvania, and Mike Lawler of New York.
And one of them in Pennsylvania is in a R+4 district.
Robert Bresnahan.
Now, the interesting thing is these 4 House members have done 2 miscalculations. First of all, this is a trap. And the trap is, if there is a 1-year extension, then this would be a huge issue in the 2026 congressional and senatorial elections. If it's a 3-year extension, this would be a huge issue in the 2028 presidential elections. Either way, it's a trap for the Republicans. So if either the 1-year or the 3-year extensions are agreed to, and Speaker Johnson knows this, if they are agreed to, the result will be the Democrats win, I lose, because of the debt will continue going up. In the healthcare system, we all lose because the healthcare system is not being assisted. Speaker Johnson has discussed this, as well as a doctor from Iowa. She gave a pretty good discussion about how, and even backed by the Congressional Budget Office, this would actually be a reduction by 11% for a lot of people.
It's an honor to stand with the House Republican leadership to talk about one of the biggest issues facing American families today, and that's the rising cost of health care. As Chairwoman McLean said, I'm an Army veteran. I was both a nurse and a physician, and I'm the only member of Congress to have served as the state director of a public health department. Not only is this issue important to me, I started my journey as a doctor because I was burned at 15 years old. So it was healthcare and the need for healthcare that drove what I do today. And I spent my career treating patients and fixing broken systems, solving problems, and I can tell you, thanks to the Democrats' failed policy, which they now admit, our healthcare system went from ill to the ICU. For 15 years, the Unaffordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, has done the opposite of what it promised. President Obama promised to lower premiums by $2,500 and to bend the cost curve down. Has that happened? No. Not in the past 15 years, and it won't happen if we just continue to pass subsidies on to profitable health insurance companies. It doesn't even include out-of-pocket cost. It's not sustainable, and it's not working. Republicans want to lower health care costs for everyone, not just a select few, and not just to continue to subsidize profitable insurance companies. Our plan, the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act, is the Republican solution to this crisis. It doesn't throw more taxpayer dollars at insurance companies. It puts patients and doctors in the driver's seat. Our bill lowers premiums by 11% by funding cost-sharing reductions the right way, not just through COVID-era bailouts that benefited only big insurers. That's up to $1,871 in savings for families each year and over $36 billion in taxpayer savings. We're delivering real PBM reform to stop middlemen from inflating drug prices. Even in my own state, my PBM transparency bill that passed in 2019 when I was a state senator, one of our counties recorded that they saved $80,000 last year through the transparency alone. We want to give small businesses the ability and the power to negotiate better deals. That alone will save taxpayers $2 billion, but most importantly, save small businesses. We're expanding association health plans by allowing small businesses and self-employed workers to team up to expand choices, which result in premiums going down by as much as 30%, even those small businesses that are in the exchanges. As we're strengthening choice arrangements so more small businesses can afford to offer coverage and more workers can choose a plan that fits their lives and their budgets. This is a plan for working Americans, not for profitable insurance companies. It's about lowering cost, increasing access, and restoring sanity to our healthcare system. Most importantly, it is a plan that lowers healthcare costs for everyone and puts patients and their doctors in the driver's seat. Thank you, and I look forward to getting this bill across the finish line and to the American people.
The other miscalculation that these four people took is if you take a look at each of their individual districts, there's reasons to believe that their districts are going to be going stronger in their support. Next year, there's going to be a lot of positive news with regard to the economy and many other things. For example, Mike Lawler's district, which is outside of New York City, is going to receive a bunch of people moving into his district because they're escaping New York City. They're not going to want socialism. They're not going to want the crime. They're going to be supporting Republicans. And in the Pennsylvania districts that are leaning R+4, R+1, or D+1, these are people that, for the most part, work hard for their money, like the song said, and I believe that they are pro-illegal immigrant deportation. They are pro-reduction of taxes on overtime and tips. They are pro a lot of the actions that the President Trump administration is doing. They will support the Republicans in 2026. These four House members are not reading the tea leaves properly. They're not reading the cards. They're listening to people who are complaining instead of listening to the general populace in their districts. I'm really hoping that over the holiday period, over the Christmas period where they will be at home, I'm hoping that they will reconsider their support of this Democrat-led opposition to Speaker Johnson. If one or two of them pull back, that would be fantastic. And the Republicans in the Senate would be in a strong position then to work with their moderate Democrat senator colleagues, such as Senator Fetterman from Pennsylvania, to come up with a workable solution that is acceptable to the moderate Democrats and the vast majority of Republicans in the Senate. Yes, Senator Rand Paul will probably vote against it, but they could come up with a decent correction to the health care problem without expending the humongous amount of money in the COVID-19 temporary insurance subsidies for Obamacare that went directly to the insurance companies. So bottom line is, they're falling for a trap. They're miscalculating what's happening in their districts. That's what I believe. And I think that the Republicans holding together will come up with the best solution for the country. Maybe not for the medical insurance companies, but for the country. Now then, continuing on with the regular business for this weekly video update for the Hunger Strike for America and the 2026 elections. First of all, did not lose that pound, of course. Army-Navy game was great and Navy won. It was an outstanding game and we had a great big party at our house. Lots of friends and family. It was wonderful. Having said that, I went in to watch the Green Bay Packers the next day.
Yep, I'm a big Packer fan. I spent 1 year of high school in the United States, and that was up north of Green Bay, Wisconsin, in a town called Marianetter, which also has a very important shipyard for the United States Navy and the Army and the Coast Guard.
And they won. Not only did I eat and drink at the Army-Navy game, obviously, with my friends and family, I had leftovers later on, and then on Sunday, I had lots of leftovers with the Green Bay Packer game. If you recall, a couple weeks ago, I gained a bunch of weight over Thanksgiving, and with the next 2 days of eating leftovers, but I was able to lose all of it, mostly water weight, and I actually lost a pound the Wednesday morning weigh-in after Thanksgiving. But that was from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday weight gain. This time, it was from a Sunday, Monday weight gain, not enough time to lose it. So no star got added on the Hunger Strike for America official sign. Another state was not colored in the official map of the United States for the Hunger Strike for America. But as I said last week, I wanted to go over the states I haven't gone over yet. But because of the discussion about the 4 rogue Republican House members, let's just do 3 states today to catch up on the House members. First of all, there's Montana. Montana has 2 congressmen. The first one is Congressman Ryan Zinke. He was a Navy SEAL, very decorated, with a couple of Bronze Star medals. He was the Secretary of Interior under the first Trump administration. He's had ethics issues, which is why he was no longer the Secretary of Interior for the first Trump administration. But when he went back to Montana, he ended up getting elected as the congressman from Montana. Based upon my review of his background and what he's been through and what he's accomplished, I think he's a fantastic congressman for the state of Montana. The other congressman from Montana is Congressman Troy Downing. He enlisted in the Air Force after 9/11, went to Afghanistan twice as part of the Combat Search and Rescue Squadron, a flight engineer. He has a lot of experience as a businessman, entrepreneur, and he's a very smart guy. Wonderful congressman for the state of Montana. In South Carolina, we have an interesting person, Nancy Mace. I don't need to go into any of that. Let me just point out 2 or 3 things. One, her father was a retired Army Brigadier General. He became the commandant of the cadets at the Citadel. Nancy Mace was the first woman graduate of the Citadel. The other thing is that Nancy Mace is not running for re-election next year. She's running for governor. Actually, I saw that she's running for governor. I don't know South Carolina if you can run for Congress and governor at the same time.
Well, I did look into it, and as you would probably think, there's a lot of disagreement over whether or not you can run for 2 offices at the same time in South Carolina. I did come across this one statement from a Nancy Mace spokesman that said, nope, she's not going to do that. There you go.
There are 4 other Republican House members from South Carolina. Joe Wilson, who was Judge Advocate General, type in the Army National Guard after he was in the Army Reserve. He retired as a colonel. Sherry Biggs, she was a nurse practitioner, and she was in the Mississippi Air National Guard and made it up to lieutenant colonel. The other 3 Republicans are William Timmons, Russell Fry, and Ralph Norman. Ralph Norman is probably the most conservative Republican in the House. The single Democrat from South Carolina is Congressman Jim Clyburn. Very well known, a lot of big history in the civil rights area, strong Democrat. Actually, from my perspective, an outstanding individual, but he started screwing up. And I think Biden got elected a lot because of Jim Clyburn. Remember when Jim Clyburn got the Democrat National Committee to okay moving up the South Carolina primary? That resulted in Biden winning that primary because of Jim Clyburn for the Democrats, which resulted in a lot of the field going away, when if South Carolina had not been moved up, there would have been true competition against Biden for the Democrat Party nomination for president. So Jim Clyburn, from my perspective, screwed over the country and the world by helping President Biden get elected. Kansas has 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat. Now, they were thinking about redistricting, but they're not going to. Kansas has a Democrat governor. Pretty good governor, but because she's a Democrat, there's no way that she's supportive of a Republican redistricting of that state.
But I also just learned that they might redistrict at the beginning of next year during their regular legislature session.
The 3 Republicans are Tracy Mann, Derek Schmidt, and Ron Estes. Interestingly, looking over their backgrounds, Ron Estes, very experienced in business, outstanding background. The lone Democrat, Sharice Davids, happens to be a Native American member of the Ho-Chunk people. She was raised by a single mother who was in the U.S. Army. Just like Jim Clyburn, Sharice Davids is a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat who would be better for our country if they were replaced by a moderate Democrat or a Republican. So what else to talk about with the 2026 elections? Well, not today, but I'll be going over the House members of the Texas and Florida groups because not enough time today. Talked about the 4 rogue House members from Pennsylvania and New York. The other things about 2026 elections are, well, affordability. We all saw President Trump's speech last night. It's the beginning of the discussions with regard to affordability, but more importantly, people have to see the results. Some results are starting, so there's lots of improvements in the communication area that the Republican Party seems to be doing, but we need to continue doing going into next year. I will not be focusing a lot on 2026 elections for the remainder of this year for the next couple of updates. We will be going over Jasmine Crockett as well as other interesting people like Henry Cuellar when we do the Texas and Florida House member discussions in the next week or 2. And we'll have some additional states because by God, I will be continuing on my Hungry Strike for America to support Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune, and President Trump in winning the 2026 elections next year. As you recall, I can't explain any direct connection, and I think in here that there is a connection between me losing 50 pounds and the Republicans retaining control of the House and the Senate. And that's important for the United States of America and for the world. As a footnote, I do believe that the Democrat Party is slowly dying. I think that it's going to be breaking into 2 or 3 groups that I talked about in the past. One will be the moderate Democrats, 2 will be the gimme woke Democrats, and 3 will be the communist socialist Democrats. But that's to come next year after the 2026 election, because they're still thinking that they are one Democrat party. And lastly, before I sign off, last week I mentioned doing a special edition on the Hunger Strike for America. I've been working on that, thinking about numbers and weight loss. What are the numbers that are important? What is the mathematics of weight loss? Or is it, what are the mathematics of weight loss? I don't know. But I've been working on that, and one of these days, hopefully soon, I'll put that out. For example, for every pound of muscle you gain, yes, you gain a pound, but you also can burn 50 calories a day more just by having that 1 pound of muscle. There's a number. I sincerely believe that losing weight the natural way, letting the magic of your body's engine, it's an engineering marvel, scientific marvel, the human body. And I believe sincerely that losing weight the natural way by reducing calories, burning more calories, and doing exercise such as weight training and cardio exercises results in improved life without any negative side effects associated with taking pills or an operation. And most importantly, it develops the people's personality, such as me. My personality, I gain confidence. It's me that's done this. It's not some doctor or research scientist that came up with a pill. It is me. And I think that's the most important thing about losing weight naturally and not taking pills. You don't have to waste any time doing research periodically on what the side effects are. And oh, by the way, they only get paid, professors, research scientists, they only get those for researching on the positive things. Who pays to get the negative impacts on taking Ozempic? I don't think anybody. They just get paid to give the positive impacts of those pills. Something to think about, huh? So, it's getting close to the end of the year. President Trump finally went on TV last night to give a real speech about what's going on in our country. That was great. God bless President Trump for finally doing it. And Susie Wiles, yeah, we all know that she got, how can I say this? Yes.
It's a trap.
It's a trap for her too. Vanity Fair laid a trap for her and she fell right into it. She's human after all. Anyway, I hope your holiday preparations are coming along great. I hope you're going to have a wonderful Christmas. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you for watching this. Goodbye.